Anil Singhvi, Chairman of Ican Investment Advisors, joins us. Mr. Singhvi, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Everything is centered around what will happen on 13th of May, and after that, what will happen on 16th of May. So how are you approaching the event?
13th April will, by and large, because I don't believe in either opinion polls or exit polls. I mean, the sample size is normally 50,000 people, and we are almost about 80 odd crore.
I have a sister channel. Who does?
Of course, it's a good amusement situation for the country when you have such kind of exit polls. So I think the important event to my mind is 16th. 13th will, again 13th will only say what we all have been talking, okay? So it's not going to be different than that. So 10 numbers here and 10 numbers there. I don't think it's a precise bombing here. It's only estimations on that. But 16th I think appears to be a very critical date, because as you look at how the markets have reacted on that. And last, I think the 1 month, the rally which has come, or 2 months rally which has come, largely on account of that Congress is bundling out. Okay, now what will be the shape and the size of the new government led by Mr. Narendra Modi, and whether they get between 230 seats to 270 seats. So I think for every 5 or 10 seats shortfall or excess of that will react the market. But market is, I think according to me, is run ahead of fundamentals. Okay, economy is not going to change in just because on 16th there is an event on that.
So you think the market is priced in 270 as opposed to 230, which it should?
230 is an event of nervousness, right? So I don't think there is any doubt or debate on that subject. Right. Okay, so when you say 230 is going to be nervous, then 260 or 270 seems to be where the market is today.
So anything under 250, 230 sell off. Anything above 270, euphoria and rally?
I think this event has been to very large extent has been already discounted for. So rally could be a short-lived rally. I'm not ruling it out on that, because finally you are seeing your own convictions have been so high, so you want to see it on the screen and feel good about it. That's it. It's like a student appearing in an exam and hoping to get 93, 94. What he or she feels. It's a vindication of what he or she has done in exam.
But
right?
the nature of the market is that they always tend to discount good news or bad news well in advance. So maybe for the moment, if I look at the economic data, earnings, macro, the global picture, there is no strong evidence on paper. But bull markets, they always climb wall of worry. You know it better than me.
I agree with you, Nikunj, on that. I have no denying of the fact. But my point is very limited. That point which I am making is, 16th event is there, which is well discounted today in the markets. I think the market is so full that any small bad news, okay, and hell is going to break loose on that.
So what do you do? Already start profit taking from names which have given you decent returns?
I think I would, on a today basis, I would tend to agree with you that where you have really seen very good profits, wait and watch for that event, even that event happens. Now, let's look at, is it a momentary event? If suppose for some reason BJP, NDA put together all that, get 270 or 280 seats on this, okay, then you see the next rally is going to be a far bigger and better rally than what we are seeing in for next 10 days situation. So I would rather wait for the event, see the event, how it pans out, how it works out, and it's not an easy job. Even if it is 260, 270 seats, who will be the ministers? What will be the shape and size of the cabinet? Prime Minister is, I think, more or less known. I think if BJP comes in, I don't think there is any prizes for guessing otherwise on that. Yeah. But what will be the shape and size of the cabinet? Who will be having the key portfolios and ministries? And how do they really start working? Because what we have seen is a complete paralysis of policy making and governance in this country. So I think people have voted to a very large extent on account of getting tired of this government. It was not for BJP in a big way. It was against Congress definitely on that.
But can markets get it wrong? Because when UPA 2 came back, markets were sucked up. So markets got the entire UPA 2 formation wrong. They could get this NDA wave also wrong.
So I'm never, as I told you at the beginning of our conversation, I'm not a huge fan of all these opinion polls and exit polls and all that. I think they take the Indian voters' mindset taken for granted, which is not a correct thing to do. I think the percentage of voting, which people have often talked about, 70% and 60%, will go definitely in favor of BJP. I'm not that opinion on this. I think people have voted on their feet up, and it's very difficult to understand or to judge how have they voted, in whose favor have they voted. I'm sure you won't have disclosed at home whom have you voted for, though of course you indirectly had hinted about it. But
but anyway,
I can see the vote sign, but so whom are you supporting? Let me ask you directly.
I'm supporting myself to a very large extent. That yes, I'm a die-hard fan of India. I believe in the Indian story. But I think in the last 3 or 4 years, we often have talked on your channel, and I've always have been circumspect of the entire thing which is going around on this. I'm hoping and praying, actually praise are more than hope, is that we must get past all what we have done in the last 3 or 4 years. We must have a good governance, effective governance. We must be able to touch and feel this government. Otherwise, all this song and dance about Mr. Modi will fall flat on our face if they don't really have a governance issue, proactively working about it and progressively taking this country forward. Otherwise, Nikunj, the point is that today we are still struggling sub 5% growth, okay? So there's not going to be a magic wand that next morning you have 7-8% growth coming in. We've got to do really a lot of work. So this government should come with a commitment that how they want to accelerate this whole economic situation. Otherwise, I think we will be a miserable lot because we are putting so much of our aspiration and hopes from this government. So this government has to deliver and perhaps doesn't have the luxury of waiting for 2-3 years to deliver. I think it should deliver in 6 months to 1 year's time.
Anil, a widespread view in the market is that it's time to revisit PSU stocks. The India regime historically is good for PSU stocks. If India indeed has to make a comeback, capex cycle has to start. Capex cycle can only start by companies which are sitting on cash on their balance sheet. Corporate India currently does not have too much of cash on the balance sheet, but PSUs have a lot of cash on the balance sheet. They can really monetize in this current environment. Is it time to buy PSU stocks?
Well, answer is yes and no, both. Your argument is very valid that they're sitting on a lot of cash. Now, issue is that are they really use this cash for investment ideas and start doing it quickly? Then it makes sense because they will have a growth. But you raise a very important issue, Nikunj, on this PSU. But look at how PSUs have been governed. What are their internal practices? And I can tell you for sure, because we run proxy advisory company, we have seen that PSUs have really got scot-free on corporate governance issues. So if they don't have governance as a primary focus, just sitting on the cash and converting cash into capex, who knows, then capex to 20% leakage is there and there. Then better that I would rather have the company sitting on the cash rather than spending that 100 and 80 is only going for capex and 20 is going for some other things. Then what am I going to left with? So I think somewhere we have to really repair this whole mindset and game. And as I saw one of the interviews of Mr. Modi, he gave an example of GEB, the erstwhile GEB, Gujarat Electricity Board and GSFC. I think a similar model has to put in place. It's not that it's just the bureaucrats and their domain that PSUs will be the most important and very, very progressive companies. You look at the example of BHEL. BHEL has to really work like a private sector. BHEL has to work like how an engineering company or fine engineering company should do this.
I mean, that's the problem. The board did not take a judicial call.
What is the board of BHEL? Why can't they have professionals from private sector on this? Those who understand the business. What is wrong with them? You mean to say that only people who work with the government are non-corrupt people? I mean, we will always laugh at that suggestion of mine, right? So there are private sector people, good people who can be put on the board of BHEL. What is it that it has to be just the parking place for all the bureaucrats? So I'm not very enamored by PSUs. Their policies, their decision-making processes, all are governed by the government. The BHEL chairman has to look at his boss as a mantri to give him this.
But the logic here is the NDA regime, for whatever time it lasted, was a good time for PSUs. They got better and greater autonomy. Unlike the UPA 1 and the UPA 2 regime, where PSUs were not given too much of autonomy. So what markets are now making a case that maybe based on historical evidence, it's time to buy PSU stocks.
I agree with you, Nikunj, because we saw some of the PSUs being sold out, some privatization attempts were made. All that was done in NDA. I think we have to really, because those are 15 years back or 14 years back, but I think we have now in 2014, we will do much more than the NDA did then. But I buy your argument on that UPA really did not do anything on that. So there is a case for it. But I hope this, because another thing which is happening today is that the expectations out of this new government is getting built up so much that I have only one fear. It shouldn't happen that in 3 or 6 months' time we get very disillusioned on that. So I think, as you are mentioning, that there are a lot of things which are getting built up on that. So I think the first mouthpiece of this government will be the budget. And all these issues have to be addressed. They should not be in a hurry in presenting the budget. They should take enough time in presenting the budget.
So what do you think are the key challenges that they need to address in this time's budget?
I think most important factor is how we will get back onto growth. Okay, and there are no shortcuts for this. There's not something that in 3 months' time we'll be back on growth. Secondly, if we were to believe that monsoon this year is going to be tricky, I won't say deficient, but tricky. Okay, so then how do we have price inflation? Because most likely NDA will come on account of one thing, which is price inflation. There's no other thing which has engaged the minds of the people, and anti-incumbency is only on account of price. So I think the NDA will have to really do, first and foremost, is that how to keep the prices in check, whatever needs to be done in that. And the third important factor is our fiscal policies and taxation policies. I think previous government have really paid no attention to that. I think there was more window dressing which was being done than real thing. So I think take stock of that and come out very clean, come out very honestly on that. What we got tired in the last 5 years was that cock and bull stories were given to us. And this country has moved. Our voter is no more that stupid Dehati man. He has really moved on life. There's a common wisdom which is prevailing on that. So I think they will have to take this. So long as you do an honest job, come out very clearly what needs to be done, have proactive policies, and make, for God's sake, make this government functional. What have we seen? When we read Sanjay Baru's book, what is it? That you can't take this country ahead of 120 crore people with looking back and forth. No.
Don't take things for granted. Okay, tell me 3 cabinet names which market men would be happy to see.
If it's a BJP government.
That's a difficult call. BJP guys won't be happy with my being very honest and candid about it. But I think the first and the foremost name comes to my mind, though of course he's neither a member of Lok Sabha, because he's not contesting, nor a member of Rajya Sabha, but God bless him, he's one of the best guys we have is Arun Shourie. I would love to see him. The second name comes to my mind is Bimal Jalan. These are not right now into reckoning because they are not the guys who are seen to be the politically heavyweights. But I think we must, now a time has come, we must have it that the people who are political heavyweights is one aspect of it, that's more for the cadre and for the BJP. And looking at the government and the governance and taking the policy decisions need not necessarily be the people from who have won with the biggest margin. So I would be very disappointed if you gave a huge thing to somebody who won with 2 lakh margin votes, and saying that since he won by 2 lakh margin votes, he should be my number 2 person in the cabinet. That may not be the best thing. I think we must have the best brains. We must have the people who have the courage and conviction of the job that they're doing.
Okay, so let's keep politics aside. Bull market, bear market, flab market, there's always money to be made.
Yes.
So how are you investing right now?
Well, Nikhil, you have asked me this question time and again in past, and I've been, I don't know, stupid or brave, but definitely came out quite well in recommending last time what I talked about. Today, my take would be that wait for a while, don't be in rush to invest, don't just buy the ideas which are just floating around in the markets, see what best can be done in next 3-6 months time. But if you really put a gun on my head, I would invest in banks. I think if the theory is that we will go for economic growth, policy making will be far superior, I think the banks have been one who took the brunt of the whole slow process and economy tanking. So if you look at last 3-4 years, whatever the ills which was an economy, ultimately it was the banking sector who took that.
So you mean PSUs?
I would look at the better ones, the names which are better. They are not going to make the same mistakes again even when the times are changing on that. So it will be a basket of both private banks, more private banks, and then some PSUs. PSUs who are trading at very, very low book to value situation. Second is, little more brave decision would be on my part would be to look at infra play. Because I think the infra has been taken a huge... How would we go to 6-7% growth unless the infra really happened? But good names. Again, you can't take completely a guy who's completely a rogue and want to do that. And third, my favorite sector will be cement. So of course, today no one will buy my saying that the cement looks good. Everyone thinks the cement is there because last year growth has been very bad. If monsoon is going to be bad, I think there's the time to invest again.
Stock prices, cement stocks have done incredibly well this year, and I wonder why. Maybe markets know that next year is going to be better than this year. Is that the thesis? Because ACC, Ambuja, Ultratech, they're trading at record highs.
Yeah, Nikhil, the point is very simple. A is that there's not much of capacity creation in industry. B, last year was a very, very bad year, so this year growth is going to be much better. And C, I think everyone is pinning again the hope that infrastructure will happen, and cement is the first one to participate in that. So I think the theory is very good. And fourth important factor is that today the replacement value of a cement plant is about $125, $130. So anything which is trading at $70, $80, $90 looks good.
Are there stocks at 70, 80?
There may not be the good quality names. I'm just throwing that comparison on that. But of course, when you look at Ambuja, ACC and Ultratech, they are trading almost about 30 to 40% higher than the replacement value on
So
that.
what's the trade there is what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, but yes, because they are liquid stocks, if you want to be in the cement, I think you'll look at these big three names. But I would not invest into any of these three names. I would rather invest into Madras Cement. I think it's a good play, neat, clean. But people don't like it because it's southern play and they always have it that south is still going to look back. I don't agree on that. The south will continue to do badly for the simple reason that Andhra was a problem because of Kiran Reddy government not doing for 2-3 years. So the growth which was coming in south was coming largely on account of Andhra Pradesh. But again it will come post 2nd June when both the states are separated. There will be huge construction in Andhra Pradesh.
How about India Cements? I mean, clear beneficiary if something happens in Telangana.
Well, I would rather put my bets on Madras Cement and Dalmia Cement rather than India Cement for both the reasons. They are efficient, quality players as compared to India Cement.
Is Dalmia Cement trying to bite much more they can chew? Because not one, they have acquired 2 JP units. The balance sheet size of Dalmia Cement is not strong. Maybe they are trying to move into north, but they are really stretching themselves.
Nikunj, in 99 you would have accused me of the same thing when we acquired ACC. We acquired DLF and ACC.
Yeah.
Was I stressed? Yes. But it happens in life. I mean, you go through this, you know exactly what you're doing. So long as you're aware of it, what you're doing, what your bets are. I think this is one industry which at least I would say that he's not far too overstressed on that. Maybe a point in time that he has taken a little more than what it will be delivered. But I think in 3 years' time, I'm sure Dalmia will come out happily from this situation.
3 stocks you own in your portfolio. I know one is Axis Bank. Which are the other 2?
Well, talking about personal portfolio is like, of course, Axis Bank is there, as is Ramco Cement, we discuss on that, and the group of Dalmia Cement.
So you just have Axis Bank and Cement, that's it.
As of today,
You're not telling me the names.
You asked him for 3.
Okay, 5.
No, now. So, but my take is that the banks will do much better than what they are, but good quality names, infrastructure sector and cement. I mean, these are the 3 broad sector which I would rather
so
do.
Betting
but I will take
things.
my bets only post 16 because I think the market is discounting all this too much on that. So I would rather go with the knowledge of the news than the speculation on the news.
No exporters, no consumers, no old economy. I mean, nothing from export.
I don't think there's much of value left there, Nikunj, on this. I think we have run far ahead of what the fundamentals would support on this.